Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It is Jay, and it is Happy Oso Inspired Day. And that is a collaboration between myself and a bunch of friends, and it is led by Crafty Al. So every month we draw inspiration from another crafter, and this month it is going to be me. So I was drawing inspiration from myself, which is kind of interesting because I don't know, it's like you don't necessarily feel that you have a focal point to your own style, but anyway, I was looking through my Instagram feed and saw this card, which is fall themed, and thought, wouldn't it be fun to do a spring Mr. Crafter? So that is what we're going to do today. You probably noticed the butterflies that I have out already. So, in addition to that card, I was also inspired by a card I made last weekend at my crop, which is this little guy, which is basically a fancy easel card, and it has a very funny sentiment you can read if you so choose. Um, in this particular one, this card base is actually made by the paper cut. So if you want to not mess around with dies, you can just buy them, which is pretty cool. She did a demo at my crop, but I had a die from Sunny Studios that also does the same cut, and their die is formulated for an A2. So let me just untape this. And I did pre-stamp some things, so I will comment on sizes as we go. We'll also comment on the challenge, which you can learn more about in the description box below. And you can see everybody else's take on things that I make. So that should be kind of fun. So, as you can see, what you're basically going to get is cuts on three sides and then a couple score lines that you will definitely want to burnish to make your life easier in a moment. So, there's one there, there's two here, through the score line in the middle, and then there's the score line at the back. So you can do this in any order you want. Luckily, my paper has lines, which makes this a little bit easier. But this mechanism will work a lot better if all your bits and pieces are burnished. I will do that. And now you can see kind of how the easel part goes together. When this is flat, and what you can actually do is bend these back and forth a little bit just to loosen up the paper fibers so that once this is down, it like moves a little bit better. So I'll just do that. But and then you can see now it bends a lot better. But essentially, we're going to put a piece under here that, when pulled back, this turns into a easel. I also pre-stamped. I eyeballed this using the die, so we'll see how close I got. And this is pretty good. But so that's just going to go like that. But because the card base that I used the first time, these two pieces were connected, so it was a little bit trickier to work on. But as you can see, the way we worked around that was just to stamp our sentiment, or like inside sentiment, on another piece. The other thing you can do is, if we use, I'm going to not use foam tape, but if you use foam tape, you'll actually get sort of a well, so you can put stuff underneath. So the first thing we're going to do is we just need to adhere this piece to the glue tab. So I think I'm going to use wet glue. You can use dry adhesive as well. The original card I showed you was put together with score tape. But I really like PVA glue because when it dries, it stops being sticky. So I'm just going to put a little bead of that down. And then I'm going to just align this with the end of the card. And once again, because we have our stripes, the stripes really help us making sure this is right ways on. So I'm just going to give that a second to dry. And like most pop-up or like interactive cards, when you're gluing, make sure everything is closed so that it can actually fit into an envelope. Unless you want to just send everything in a bubble mailer, which sometimes I do. Let me just grab a punch here quick. So while we're letting that dry, what I want to do is put a little punch in this top layer just so that it's clear that there's something that you can pull here. So I'm just gonna be careful and sort of shoot for the middle here and make sure I'm getting the that sort of pink. I don't know if you can see that as well. I'm just lining it up with this little pink line. So it's clear you can pull this. And then just do a punch. The way that goes. This was sort of a scallopy decorative punch. But you see now you can kind of tell that you can do this. And we weren't 100% flush here. If that bugs you, you can, of course, do that. But I think for my card, it's not really going to matter too much because the whole thing's going to be white. So, oh, and I should say, I did bring back our little crafty dude. And while I had him out, I actually found a couple craft roulette pie wedges. So I thought we would just stamp out craft roulette and we can potentially do something with this. I haven't decided. I'm thinking maybe like put it here on the front where the glue tab ends. But we'll see what we do with the sentiment at the end here. But I tried to sort of match him with one of these, but the like floral flowers, so he looks very sort of a similar color palette. Anyway, so now that this is glued down and we know what we're doing, basically all we need to do is put glue around these three sides and attach this piece. Again, you want to be somewhat careful to not glue your whole card together. Ask me how I know. But this one is actually pretty straightforward, I think, because it's pretty clear how this goes together. Um, I forget if I mentioned it earlier, but I used the die as sort of a template to figure out how this would all work. And I started with a full A2 panel. You obviously could trim this down and kind of mount it the way we did. The nice thing about the wet glue is it gives us some fudge factor to kind of work things together. And then what I would recommend doing is make sure your mechanism is not impeded by the glue. Move it around as the glue takes, because then if you did wind up gluing things together, it wouldn't be too big of a deal. So we have our starts out saying nothing and then comes it says enjoy today. And we're gonna probably put our little dude here. Oops, there we go. Because this isn't 100% flush, it's a little bit wonky getting it back in. But anyway, you could also there's a couple. If you do have a sticky mechanism, there's a couple tips I'll give you. One is just sort of your basic run-of-the-mill cellophane tape. If there's like an edge, you can just tape over that edge, and it will make things slide more smoothly because you won't get as much. You won't your paper won't be hitting an edge anymore. It'll just sort of slide up. Anyway, if that's helpful. I do think I want to use craft roulette, and I kind of want to stick it on this yellow that I had on my desk, but conveniently matches my dude's crafty shirt, which is actually Y21 if you are a Copic person. I'm just going to glue this down and then eyeball it. And I haven't done interactive cards in a while, but really got back into it after my friend Lala, aka Mommy Guide Inc., started doing a few. Now, this is a little wonky, so I'm just going to trim it up a little bit. I think that's fine. Now, the question is I could mount this just like this. Oops. Should make sure my back is glued together here. But I'm thinking, like, I think I may actually do, well, at this point, there's not a great way to cut this, but I would recommend if you notice this and your card wasn't fully glued together, you can just edit it a little bit. And you can't actually, it's hard to use the trick here, but like if this was, if I was hitting this edge, the thing I could do here is, what I think I'm going to do is just grab my pokey tool and just make sure this edge is free. I'm just going to extend this out so we know where to glue them. And I think I'm just going to glue them kind of like that, which might have been hard to see. If you want to give him a little more ability to stand up by himself, also going to glue the base of his head as well. But if you want to give him more, and you want to make sure that he doesn't impede your score line, so that's another good reason to put this together when it's standing up. So when fully extended, it says enjoy today, and we have our little guy. You probably could have put craft roulette on the bottom here too, but I kind of like it on the back as a sentiment. But anyway, that is my card for me being inspired by me and my oh so inspired. So I'll be interested to see what other people come up with. And if you're interested in seeing that too, there is a playlist below. So please have fun checking out everybody else's cards. And until I see you again, have a great rest of your day.